Hi, I'm James McGuire, and today we're talking about automation, analytics, artificial intelligence, and any number of other topics that they refer to and affect digital transformation. To discuss that, I'm joined by a real thought leader. With me is Colin Paris, Chief Technical Officer at GE Digital. Colin, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure to be here, James. Delighted to help.
Absolutely, and I know you are there in Connecticut, and the sun is not shining in Connecticut apparently today.
No, it's a gloomy day. It's a gloomy day, but I'll go out
There you
anyway.
go.
Yes.
So, all right. So let's get to current events. I mean, obviously, COVID-19 is global pandemic. Really challenging, a lot of hardship. Um, how is COVID-19 affecting how industrial firms view digital transformation? Because I think some of the web only firms, the Netflixes of the world, the Amazons of the world, they're already there, perhaps. But
Mhm.
what about some of the industrial firms? What's your view on that?
I think we're seeing two things, James. One is this notion of acceleration.
Mhm.
These firms are seeing that they need to accelerate it and they can. And the second is this thing I would call normalization. Here's what I mean by that.
Mhm.
What I mean by that is that it's now becoming part of the fabric and accepted. I remember having a discussion with the CEO of NIPA in which he was saying he had discussed with his team, how long would it take for us to go and do remote operations? NIPA is the New York electric, electric utility. And they said that transformation, 3 to 4, maybe 5 years. They did it in 5 days because of COVID, because they had to.
Wow.
So what you see happening right now with any kind of digital transformation is that companies were looking for two things. They were looking for productivity, and they were looking to manage the market dynamics. In terms of productivity, they always had the view that software and automation can actually give them more capability. You can do more with the human, right? You can do it faster. Now, what you're seeing is that clearly, but you can also do it remotely, right? So that
Mhm.
added tie to it with the productivity and the remote capability makes it powerful. The second thing they're seeing is that in terms of handling market dynamics, they always knew they had to plan long term. You look at the utilities, they were thinking about renewables, they were thinking about new government policies and cyber long term. Now with COVID, you had to think short term. You had to think doing it right now, right away.
Right.
Let me give you one great example that brings it home.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the Indian utility, Pasoco. This is the national grid for India itself. During the COVID crisis, the Indian Prime Minister said, for unity, I'd like 1 billion people to turn off their lights for 9 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Now, a grid is all about stability. So when you hear things coming on and off for 9 minutes, a billion people, that's amazing. And he gave them 60 hours to prepare. It had to be a sign of unity. India needed to be united. So
Right.
quickly, we have the grid software there in GE Digital. We have a system called AEMS. We quickly use that plus the remote capability, quickly talked to the actual engineers, and they were able to begin to look at this process. India normally has 130 gigawatts. Because the
Hmm.
COVID was at 50, they were going to lose, they thought, at least 12 or 15 gigawatts worth of power. Amazing. Never had been done before. We were able to do it because not only did the remote capability allow you to manage it, but the control system allowed you also to get to a point where you could shut this thing down. So they did it. They turned off the lights, they lit candles. To our shock, it wasn't 12 gigawatts, it was 31 gigawatts were lost.
Wow. Okay.
Turned it back on, it came back up, no failures.
Huh.
Right away,
Yeah.
the grid folks said, oh my God, this proves we could do this.
Mhm.
Different thought.
Tell me, what was the technology that enabled that to happen?
There are two things. One is there's something called transmission software. It's called AEMS, Advanced Energy Management Systems.
Okay.
It's what the GE Grid software team sells. And
Mhm.
then we have something called remote work. It allows you to do remote connectivity and to actually work with people at the same time. So the
Uh-huh.
combination of those two things, we've had that grid software in place there, but the remote work was something new we added. And so that combination of using things like digital and AI with control systems. One other quick example,
Mhm.
Haverhill. Haverhill is a water utility that sits right now in Massachusetts. They
Uh-huh.
had the same thing as a result of COVID. We have a control system working with them. We've been working with them for years on how do you do actually remote monitoring. When you tie that to the automation system, they control something like 1.5 million gallons of water annually. They were able to move from a control system where you can have one person off-site running this control system for this entire 59,000 homes. Again, COVID is actually proving these things out. A powerful way to accelerate it and make technology the new normal.
Interesting. Okay. And what was the artificial intelligence component in that? Did AI play a role in that particular example or one of the earlier examples?
No, not yet.
Okay.
AI played a smaller role in the AEMS example, but I
Okay.
have another great example I can give you at any time where AI plays a dramatic role in it.
Please, let's talk about that. I think it's a really interesting element.
Yeah. When I think about how AI is transforming organizations, we talk a lot about digital twins, right? So
Right.
when you think about what a digital twin does, usually in a business, an industrial business, the twin does three things. The first thing you want to do is well, let me tell you what a twin is, just so
Please,
we
I was going to say, what